Hi class, welcome to public speaking. This is week 13 and I'm happy to talk to you today about chapter 27, special occasion speeches. I'm not in my regular office today. I hope some of you got the chance to do some travel or to check out for the eclipse. I did as well, so I ended up in New Braunfels, Texas for my adventure today. So at any rate, we're talking about special occasion speeches, and you know, public speaking is an art that adapts to the context in which it's delivered. There's nowhere more evident for that kind of thing than special occasion speeches. And these speeches are not just about conveying information or persuading the audience. It's something that's special and designed for a specific occasion with a purpose that's rooted in the nature of the event itself. And so with special occasion speeches, we want to be able to entertain, celebrate, commemorate. Sometimes we want to set an agenda, and other times we do things that are similar to an informative or a persuasive speech. But when we talk about entertainment in the context of special occasion speeches, we're talking about the type of delivery where the audience primary expectation is to be amused and engaged. And so the speaker, even though they have the unique insight into the topic, they're also crafting a light-hearted and amusing narrative that captures and captivates the audience's attention. And some speeches like that are a staple that you would see like a keynote speech at a banquet or award dinner. You've seen like a roast on television before, those kinds of things. And it's all about an atmosphere of joy and celebration where the speech is set up to increase the ambiance, sort of like the ambiance I have in the room with the fire behind me on the screen. When we celebrate things, it elevates a person or a place or a thing that is being honored. And that audience expects the speaker to not just praise the subject matter, but also to cast it in a positive light that is going to resonate with everybody that's there. And so this involves a delicate balance of being relevant and then giving admiration, and also making sure that the ceremony aligns with whatever the norms of the occasion would be. So like weddings, anniversaries, retirement parties, and of course dinners are real examples where celebration speeches play a central role in the significance of milestones and achievements. And using commemoration in public speaking focuses on remembrance and tribute. It's a moment to reflect on the past and honor those who have made a lasting impact. The audience at those kinds of events, they expect that you're going to focus on memories and legacy and the values that the person or event is being commemorated stood for. So anniversaries and memorials often feature commemorative speeches where the depth of the message is something that is designed to try to touch the person's heart, you know. And inspiration is another key aspect in a lot of these kinds of presentations, because presentations that share inspiration are a lot of times characterized by accomplishment or talking about achievement or heroism. And it's not just to honor the person, but it's also to inspire the audience members to themselves achieve and work towards doing great things in their own lives. When we look at crafting special occasion speeches, the speaker is working to weave together, you know, these things of occasion and purpose and what's expected and the delivery. And it's a delicate skill that requires a lot more planning than a traditional speech. You know, a lot of times we know that traditional speeches that we do are done extemporaneously. And extemporaneously means that we're set up to be able to look down at our outline and see a word that reminds us of what we say at that time. And yes, that has been practiced, but it's a lot different than a special occasion speech, because a lot of times even pauses or even the particular words that you are using in the moment are designed to set a tone and for something special. So there are lots of times where we just practice the heck out of these, and almost to the point of memorization. And I would say that folks would not benefit from bringing a scripted speech, but still yet to only bring a keyword outline to help them remember what to say. But it's not an on-the-fly kind of thing. You know, there was this one time where I had to give a speech at a wedding, and I was just not thinking about it. You know, it was not something on my mind. I was having a good time. I didn't plan on preparing for the speech. And the event was one of these things where it was a wedding, and it was held on a very large cruise ship type boat. And here I was the best man, and the best man's host was coming, and I was caught off guard. So to be honest with you, I had maybe 2 drinks in me. So I had 2 drinks in me. I forgot about the speech. I was having a good time. And someone came over and said, "Are you ready for the speech?" And I said, "I have to go to the bathroom." Do you know why I told them I had to go to the bathroom? Because I had to plan. And so I sat there in the bathroom and laid out the speech that I was going to do, and made notes and looked things up and remembered and did it on the fly. But thank goodness I have had experience to prepare me for that moment. It's like one of those things that in all my speech classes I've always heard about the horror moment behind, oh my gosh, what if you're caught off guard for something that important and that serious. And that's how I handled it that day, and I feel like it went okay, but they usually don't. You know, you hear about these presentations that embarrass people, or they don't go right because the person is drunk. And so think about some of these with me now. If we're going to introduce someone, it's something that we could easily, it can get us caught off guard because we know that we invited someone to something, and if we didn't think about how we're going to present them to other people before we got there, then it's just going to sound like a bobulated mess, or we're not going to be able to give them the kind of presentation introduction that is going to be worthwhile or do that person justice. So even when we're working to introduce somebody, that is a whole planned presentation. Other things like speeches of acceptance, being able to share your love for the award, share your appreciation to the audience and the people that were there. You know, those things sound like a combobulated mess if you don't already have a speech that's prepared. And I think that many of us have seen enough award shows to know the difference between a speaker that at least has an idea of what who they're going to thank versus just to be caught off guard and then be in the stress of the moment. The other kinds of presentation that fall in this category are things like toasts. And a toast at a wedding is very similar to an introduction or because a lot of times you end up introducing the ideas about both people to the audience. The after dinner speeches a lot of times are heartfelt speeches that connect with the audience and the topic being celebrated, and speeches of inspiration as well. So a lot of times we see those kinds of speeches that would be done at graduation ceremonies or at religious kinds of events, sporting events. So all of these things are worthwhile to investigate, because you know you're going to be working on one of those speeches this week, and then a second week will be dedicated to perfecting it. And so I want to suggest that you choose something that you might be able to use in your own life, right? So think about these kinds of presentations and what you have going on and what is it that you can best prepare for. So we're going to introduce somebody. Well, a speech of introduction is designed to be short but impactful, and it's going to require that you do a bit of a warm-up for the audience to prepare you for the main speaker. And it gives a brief preview of what they're going to talk about and enthusiastically invites the audience to welcome them. We a lot of times use these times to employ humor and show humility. I just mentioned speeches of acceptance. I just want to also add that the core purpose here is to express the genuine gratitude for the honor. So speakers should prepare in advance, demonstrate humility, and thank people that are responsible. The kinds of presentations like eulogies at a funeral, if you think about a eulogy or another kind of tribute speech, it's set up to celebrate the life of someone who's passed away or to give comfort to those people who are still there grieving. And these kinds of speeches should balance the emotional delivery with helping the audience cope and provide closure and commemorate the deceased life rather than just dwell on their death. So also acknowledging the family and focusing on positive, realistic memories of the individual are key aspects. I would say that eulogies have a tendency to be very emotional. And so I have never given a eulogy at a funeral. And part of the reason why is because I don't want to, because I think that it would be very taxing on me, especially if I love or care about that person, to expose myself to that level. It's sort of a raw feeling to be in front of people and balancing your emotions. So eulogies, in my opinion, are are best given by someone who knows the person, but doesn't have an extreme connection. So, like maybe if we have a death of a loved one, maybe we ask someone that's an extended family member to do the eulogy or speak. Or maybe we ask the minister to do the eulogy or speak. See what I mean? So it means that like the person who died, maybe not asking their child or their direct relative to stand up there and do that, because it's extremely emotional. And you have to be able to get through the material. Even if you're not directly connected, it might be hard to keep it together without being emotional in that moment. So for that reason, eulogies I pretty much have scripted. I would suggest that. And when I say scripted, that's different than just having any key bullet points. I would say that you have to be able to adapt in a way so that you can pause and come back to where you're at. And if things aren't written out in a way so that you can easily do that, it can be difficult. So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing a eulogy. Another presentation that I just mentioned was an after dinner speech. Those kinds of things have to balance seriousness and humor. And I would say that we want to think about how we can be inspirational and connect to the moment, right? So it's always this intersection of what is the event and what's behind that event. Like what does it mean to go to that event, right? So every event has something with it. So what is that nuance? So you have to find the event nuance. You want to be respectful to people there, and you want to be able to deliver a connected message. When you look at the notes that I shared for week 13, you'll notice that I have some specific guidelines for some of these different special occasion speeches, and I just want to review some of those with you. So going through from the start, if you want to follow along with me, the first one to mention is a graduation speech. So some hot button things to know about graduation speech. We want to reflect on memories. So a lot of times we start with a look back on shared experiences during the course of study, acknowledge achievements, and inspire for the future. So reflect, acknowledge, inspire. So there's like a whole perfect kind of formula for you there if you choose to do a graduation speech. A wedding speech is set up to honor the couple and share personal anecdotes. So for that kind of presentation, the guidelines that I'm asking, if you choose that kind of speech, you want to have a personal touch. You want to celebrate the couple, and you want well wishes for them. So you want to begin by how you know the couple and share the fond memories that you have together. You can highlight their qualities, like a love story about them and what makes them perfect for one another. And then it's really appropriate to conclude with heartfelt wishes for their future together as something to share. The next one that I have on my hit list is a keynote address. A keynote address is something that's given sometimes at a symposium or sometimes at a dinner, but it sets the tone for an event. And so you want to engage the audience and have a central message that ends up inspiring. And so you start with an engaging story or like a statistic that's relevant to the theme, to really put it out there. And then clearly outline the event's purpose and what the attendees should take away. So it should be even clear to them what you're wanting them to get out of that message. And then encourage the audience to think or act in a way that aligns with the event's goals. And so those are the things that match up with the keynote address to help with that inspiration, because you're doing an inspiration kind of message that connects to the event with that person. I mentioned a couple more, but I want to scroll down to the retirement speech. The retirement speech is pretty cool because you have an opportunity to share career highlights and then, of course, personal anecdotes and appreciation for that person. So you want to mention significant achievements and moments in the person's career, and then share personal stories that showcase their character and the impact that they have. And then finally, express gratitude for the retirees' dedication and wish them well in their next chapter and what they have going next. So that's some stuff for retirement speech. For an award acceptance speech, our objective is to express gratitude and share the journey to receiving the award. So thankfulness, that journey, and also an inspirational message. So we start off by thanking those who contributed to your success, and then share something about your path to get there, about that achievement, and then offer encouragement or advice to others that are wanting to do something similar. So those are some of the awesome guidelines for that. The last one I want to mention is the motivational speech. And the motivational speech is designed to inspire and motivate the audience towards personal or collective action. And when I used to be a sales manager, this was a daily thing. I was prepared daily to give a motivational speech to my staff every morning. And so we usually form this by taking some bit of personal experience and then the lessons learned that you have to kick into the message, and then add a bunch of encouragement. So we want to share challenges maybe that we face and overcome, and discuss the insights that have been gained through that experience, and use that to motivate the audience to pursue their goals, even with the obstacles that are out there. So a lot of these presentations you can see take on different meaning. They take on different dimensions. And so because they take on different dimensions, and because so many of you are going to be working with different types of presentations, I'm going to encourage you to do a bang-up job for this week's presentation, because you're going to have a chance to revamp that, right? So just like their demonstration speech and the informative speech, this is one that you'll have a practice time on. So you get full credit to do the practice this week, and also full credit for the final assignment for next week. I also just want to mention that the formal outline that we use for all of our speeches up till now, right? That has the introduction, the body, the conclusion, and we have those requirements in each aspect. That kind of requirement is out the window for these kinds of presentations. So I want you to know that being able to do things like make summary statements for your audience and do an attention getter that is relevant. And, so know that these speeches that you're doing for special events are an advanced skill. So when you were working and I was requiring you to follow the formula precisely, that was a learning tool. And those kinds of presentations should be done that way. But in this case, we're not going to follow that as strictly. So I'm still going to be looking for an attention getter, still looking for summary statements, but not the aggressive stance that we have on each of those. We're looking more creatively and artistically for your presentation this week. So I look forward to your assignment, and thanks for listening.